right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to WWE Discussion. In today's episode, I'm going to discuss the August 18th edition of SmackDown. This episode was all about celebrating 25 years with WWE. Edge returned to his hometown of Toronto Friday night on SmackDown for a match that may well have been his last with the company. The Rated R superstar and Hall of Famer squared off with Sheamus for the first time ever in what was a battle between friends. And with that, we're going to get into the action, starting with
The Grayson Waller Effect, featuring Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. So, this segment was, well, it was all over the place, but it did accomplish some things. One, established the fact that at the current moment there is no tension between Escobar and Mysterio. There was an interruption by Austin Theory, and I will admit, his objection, I don't really care to see Theory back in the US title scene, but at the very least, from a logic standpoint, it does make sense that he would find fault with the idea that Mysterio could sub in for Escobar, even if Theory's taken no accountability for the fact that if he hadn't laid out Escobar in the first place, Mysterio probably wouldn't have taken, Mysterio wouldn't have had to sub in and take his title from him. And having LA Knight insert himself into the mix keeps him in the title scene after it appeared that he was going to be the guy to get the original title match when the tournament was announced, when they had that tournament with the two Fatal 4-Way matches, or not tournament, but just the two Fatal 4-Way matches, and LA Knight was in one of them. There was that. So Knight was involved, and then the second thing this thing accomplished was setting up a high-stakes match to kick off the show, that being Knight versus Theory. So even though this segment was all over the place, it did accomplish a couple of things in the single segment, which is efficient booking if nothing else. So then we get into LA Knight versus Austin Theory, with the winner getting a future United States Championship opportunity, and not really too surprising. I mean, it would have been nice to see Knight get the opportunity, but I guess, put Austin Theory back in the mix for now. As long as he doesn't win the title again, I think he'll be alright. But unfortunately, Knight takes the loss here, but it wasn't as though he lost clean. So the feud between the megastar and the Hollywood A-lister The Miz continues, and at the very least it keeps Knight busy. If he's not going to be competing for a title, at least he's got something going for him. When you think about feuding with The Miz, well, The Miz he's a veteran, he's over, he has a history of getting guys over, and his credibility is practically bulletproof. So this match was by the Bucks Creative, with the distracting finish that WWE uses too much, relies on too much, but the crowd didn't seem to be fazed by that, and is still 100% on the LA Knight bandwagon, or train, I guess, at this point. Yeah, that LA Knight train is not slowing down, it appears. So was this great booking? Not really, but the LA Knight train is still full speed ahead, so it turned out alright. And also, Miz being as great a bad guy as he is also helps. Paul Heyman provided an update on the Bloodline, sort of. He did announce Jimmy Uso is going to appear next week, so I guess if there was something to take away from the segment, it was that. But overall, the wise man refused to provide an update on the current status of the Bloodline, taunting Kayla Braxton instead, and also revealing Jimmy Uso would appear next week. So, smart way to keep the storyline in front of the audience without burning precious TV time. Heyman refused comment and gave viewers a reason to tune in next week to see what Jimmy will say. Simple, and did not require an in-ring segment that would, again, burn TV time and just, take up too much time. And as a result of keeping this one short, simple, to the point, it allows more time to be given to Edge and Sheamus for the night's high-profile main event. Speaking of which, the main event, Edge versus Sheamus, there was this big question looming over this matchup. Was this Edge's final match? It is technically the final match on his contract, but is it the final match of his career? TBD. And if it is his last match, I think you can look back on this one as another example of why, or at least everybody can look back on it as another example of why Edge is one of the greats in WWE history, and one of the more most adaptable superstars. He could have gone out, hit the classics, delivered a spear for the win, but instead he went out and delivered. Yeah, he went out and delivered a performance and worked to his opponent's strength. He didn't. This was a hard fought match. It was a physical main event that took 2 spears for Edge to win. So again, it's par on course for Edge if you think about it too. He's never done anything half-assed in all the matches he's competed in since he made his return. He's always gone 100%, and this was no different. The crowd was electric. The emotion on Beth Phoenix's face enhanced the moment, and the match that Edge and Sheamus delivered was a fitting way to close out Edge's career if this is the end. And if it is indeed the end, thank you, Edge. I grew up watching Edge. I was so disappointed when his career came to a close, and I'm so glad to see that he got this opportunity to close it out. I'm so glad that I got to be a fan and enjoy all of this. So again, thank you, Edge. So in conclusion, this show was centered on one thing, and that was celebrating 25 years in Edge, and it did just that with great video packages, and entrance from the Hall of Famer that was elevated by a loud pop from that Toronto crowd, and it made the event befitting not only the Hall of Famer Edge, but the future Hall of Famer Sheamus. The women's tag team match, quality belt, and the SmackDown creative forces did a good job of getting Mysterio, Escobar, Knight, Theory, Waller, and Miz all on television practically at the same time, despite time being at a premium. So there wasn't really much in terms of development for the upcoming Payback Premium Live event, but there didn't need to be. This was Edge's night, and he earned it. And with that will conclude this episode of WWE Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.